Women's Consortium, and it is my pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Cynthia Moore Chestnut. She is chair of the Florida Democratic Black Women's Consortium. Dr. Chestnut.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning. On behalf of the Florida Democratic Women's Consortium, it is my pleasure to welcome you to our first in-person press conference. The Florida Democratic Black Women's Consortium, with a membership of 125 spanning the state of Florida from Pensacola to Miami, we are dedicated to voter empowerment and recruiting and supporting Democratic Black women running for elected or appointed offices in Florida. The Black Women's Consortium works to fund, inspire, recruit, support, and train Black Democratic women to be prepared to serve in an elected or appointed position in the state of Florida and beyond. To expand the voting base by registering and educating new and returning voters on the issues that impact their daily lives, to take positions and make statements on issues of concern for FDBWC members and their base, and to offer training and provide tools for engaging the public in issues of concern of this group. Now, without further ado, I am delighted to welcome our special guest, our one and only Representative Yvonne Henson. Our school board member, Tina Surton. And of course, Dr. McNealy will be a speaker, but our other elected officials will be introduced as we go through the program. I'd also like to introduce the board members for the Florida Democratic Black Women's Consortium, starting first with Nikki Barnes, First Vice President for Operations and Programs, Alachua County. Dietrich Wood from St. Lucie County, Secretary. Valerie Grant Wilson, parliamentarian from Indian River County. Molly Dodd Adams, communications chair from Hillsborough County. Now on to our program. For the past several weeks in Florida, we have been battling the issue of requiring face masks for school-age children as we fight the coronavirus. I'm very proud to say Alachua County and Broward County took very definitive stands in protecting our children, teachers, and support staff. Today, Dr. Rosalind Osgood and Dr. Leanetta McNealy will share comments about their districts and where we go from here. Representative Bobby DuBose from Fort Lauderdale will share with us why it is so important that Congress passed the John Lewis Voting Rights Act by the Senate. Dr. Rosalind Osgood was first elected as a school board member for Broward County in 2012. Rosalind Osgood currently serves as the chair of the Broward County School Board, the fourth largest school district in the United States, a board member of the Broward Health Coalition Board and the Circuit 17 Juvenile Justice Board. Additionally, she serves as an associate minister at the new Mount Olive Baptist Church. Dr. Rosalind Osgood is a member of the Florida Democratic Black Women's Consortium, and she is also a candidate for state senate. Dr. Leanetta McNealy was first elected to the Alachua County School Board in 2012 and currently serves as the chair. With over 39 years in education, serving as a classroom teacher, curriculum specialist, and finally as the principal of the DuBose Elementary Fine Arts Academy for 14 years, Dr. McNealy is recognized as a leader in education, always on the battlefield for children. Representative Bobby DuBose is a native of Fort Lauderdale, having served as the city commissioner and vice mayor of Fort Lauderdale prior to being elected to the Florida House of Representatives in 2014. Representative DuBose achieved the highest level of leadership in the legislature when he became the minority leader. He is a graduate of the University of Florida, an avid gator, and considers coming to Gainesville, returning to God's country. Representative DuBose is also a candidate for the congressional seat held by the late L.C. Hastings. Representative DuBose is a proud member of the Florida Democratic Black Women's Consortium. Without further ado, our program will start. Dr. Osgood.
Good morning, and thank you to Dr. Chestnut and all that are gathered today. I want to start out, first of all, by thanking all of the organizations, the NAACP, Faith in Florida, our Teachers Union groups, our Parent Union groups, and all of the other organizations that have come on board to support children and educators in this very difficult time. I woke up this morning and I began to think about Dr. Martin Luther King. And I said, yes, Dr. King, we find ourselves at midnight again. It's midnight in the social order when we look at what's going on in Afghanistan and we see the devastation. It's midnight in the psychological order where many of our communities are being plagued by gun violence, domestic violence, and a pandemic that's taking the lives of mothers, grandmothers, aunties, uncles, and now many of our children. People are more frustrated and worried than ever before. Numerous people have lost their jobs. The eviction moratorium ends today. More heartache and headache we will find ourselves dealing with in the days to come. It's also midnight in the moral order, where I find myself as a school board member in the 6th largest school district in the nation with 30,000 employees, over 260,000 students. I find myself taking a moral stand just to keep them alive. As we think about morality, morality gives us some absolutes. And one of those absolutes is we have to be our brother and our sister's keeper. We have a moral command to love our neighbor like we love ourselves. And as we struggle through the pandemic, many of our districts pivoted to online education. Our teachers work relentlessly. We have some amazing teachers in this nation. Thank you. The cafeteria staff in most school districts, they work throughout the entire pandemic, feeding children, feeding families, passing out foods at schools. Thank you, cafeteria workers. Custodial and janitorial staff find themselves having to do extra cleaning, be exposed to different things that they had not been exposed to before, but they showed up and they were willing to do whatever it took to make sure that facilities were clean. Thank you to all of the facilities. Communities like Broward County showed its strength. Our county was resilient, whether it was the faith-based organization, the Urban League, the Community Alliance, the Education Foundation. The community came together to support each other when many people were without jobs, things were closed down. People were living from day to day, experiencing a new phenomenon, trying to stay alive with a deadly pandemic running rampant through our community. I am a proud native of Broward County, a proud product of the 33311. I love my community, homegrown. I work and live there today by choice. I love everybody in my community, from the homeless person that's on the street to the mayor or those persons that have reached a certain level of status. And as the school board representative for District 5, I have to take a stand to protect the people that I love. As we find ourselves in this political moment as a policymaker, I have my secular training in public administration, where you have all of these disciplines in this field of ambiguity. You have education, law enforcement, government, healthcare, and we all work to solve the world's problems. It is best practice that when a discipline is an expert in an area, you follow the instructions of that discipline. As we deal with this pandemic, our healthcare professionals, our doctors, our scientists, they are the leaders in this space. They studied disease. They studied all of these things for all of these years. And they're telling us that the Delta variant is more deadly than all the other things. They're telling us that this virus is fighting to stay alive, that it continues to mutate. We see the science of hundreds of thousands of people are dying. In Florida, we are the epicenter for the coronavirus. Our positivity rates are higher than ever before. But we know that we have to get our students back in school to face-to-face learning. Because academically, it's very hard for them to achieve at home, sometimes alone, while they're being traumatized on a whole nother level with the pandemic. We know that they need to be in loving school environments with teachers and social workers and mentors and all of those individuals that play a part in helping and strengthening our kids and supporting them. We know that they need to be where they can get the mental health support that they need, the wraparound services. So we open schools and we bring our students back face to face. And we believe in Broward County that we can do that, and we can do that and keep them safe if we use all of the mitigation tools that we have in our toolbox. Vaccination, masks, social distancing when you can, and washing of hands. We know that our children 12 and under do not have opportunities for vaccination. We know that many members of our community have not been vaccinated. And because they have not been vaccinated, they put us all at risk. I was vaccinated because I wanted to protect my children, my grandchildren, and my community. I didn't want to take a chance of dying and leaving my family with a hardship, or getting the COVID virus and then living with some lifelong complications. So I got vaccinated. Yeah, I saw all of the stuff about the vaccination, all about the experiment from the government. But when I went to get vaccinated, there was no different shot for white people and black people. There was no discrimination. I took the vaccine and I was fine. Nothing has happened to me. I know now that I have something that will protect me if I should get the coronavirus. I have something in my body to fight it. I encourage you, if you have not been vaccinated, get vaccinated. If you don't trust the government or the system, trust me. If you're a parent and you have kids, you don't want to get sick or die and leave your kids with that boy. So as I'm in this moment in time that I could never imagine, that I'm fighting with the governor of the state of Florida, who continues to use the Department of Education to send threatening letters to withhold the salaries of school board members who did not vote his way. It's interesting because bodies of government are a unit. And in a democracy, when you take a vote, whatever the prevailing vote is the direction that that organization takes. You don't separate people because they don't vote your way, and you show them and punish them. But you don't punish the other person because they voted your way. Many people keep saying, why are you defying the government? And I respond, I'm not defying the government. I have a moral compass. I that I have to give account to. And I believe at this moment in this time, I have an obligation to protect people that I love, to value the lives of people. There is no threat, nor amount, or nothing that can be taken away from me that would make me risk the lives of people. People's lives are invaluable. You can't put a price on it. So we keep getting these letters, these different threats, these different processes, and we're responding. But at the end of the day, for me, I am left in a quandary. I don't understand why when you think about adaptive problem solving, you know that there's always more than one way to solve a problem. I don't understand why we get an absolute that we can't mandate that. Why not allow school districts to implement their policy? And by the way, local citizenry elect local school board members to make policies for local school boards. It's in the Florida Constitution. So why not allow those school districts to try it their way, and then if it does not work, make a change? We saw many school boards that were pressured, they opened with mass optionals, and within a matter of days, they had to come back and change their policy because so many people were getting sick, so many people were getting the coronavirus. So I'm at a quandary, and the question that I keep asking myself, I actually have a couple of questions. Out of the 9 or 10 school districts that are mandating masks, only 2 school districts have received these type of punitive letters. And I'm asking myself, is it because those 2 school districts have 2 female superintendents, 2 black female school board chairs? I don't know, these are the kinds of questions. I'm trying to logically understand why any policymaker, the governor, the commissioner of education, any policymaker would want to kill people, make them sick, and defund public education in the state of Florida. It just doesn't make sense. It goes against everything in our Constitution, everything that is morally right. So I believe that masks should be mandated in school. I don't believe that there is an option. I believe that school districts like Broward are following the governor's executive order. We have opt-out clauses for students that have medical notes, IEPs, or 504 plans. We make those allowances even when we're not in a pandemic. I believe that local school boards have the authority through the state constitution to make decisions and policies for local school districts. I also believe that the state constitution says that another organization should not punish a rulemaking body for rulemaking. In school systems, we also have something called local parental, which says that when a student is in a classroom, the teacher is kind of like a substitute parent and responsible for that student. So I don't understand how all of those other rules and constitutions now are supposed to be subservient to the parent's Bill of Rights. And as a parent, I do have some rights, but those rights cannot be to the extent of causing harm and danger to others. So as we continue to move forward, I am committed to doing whatever it takes, taking whatever hits I have to take to protect the lives of the people that I love and I care for. In closing, our children are our future. Yes. If we don't put them on masks and protect them from this pandemic when they don't have an option for vaccination, we lose them. Every child that dies, that's a business dream that's now dead. That's a doctor, a lawyer, a politician, an entrepreneur, the next millionaire, a billionaire that's now dead. It could even be the child that has the thought that's really going to make this world a better place and teach us how to all get along with love and respect. I won't make decisions to risk the lives of those babies, to risk the future of this nation. We know that it'll be young people that'll lead us to a better place. we keep seeing them come to the forefront. So we have to do everything that we can to protect them and to provide a safe learning environment for them. Many kids in school districts don't have options in private schools. They can't afford it. So we can't allow resources to be taken away from a public school system, and then it will be inadequately funded to provide quality education for students. So thank you to this group here today. Thank you to all of you all over the world for your emails, your text messages, your support. We're going to keep our students alive. We're going to keep our educational environment safe. And we're going to stand against any group or any individual that want to kill people, make them sick, and defund education in the state of Florida. God bless you. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I want to thank Dr. Chestnut for this privilege. Thank you so much. I am happy to be here today to share an update on 10 districts who are in solidarity, caring for the well-being and safety measures of the students. Alachua and Broward counties were the first districts to adopt certain mandates which promoted the Florida State Board of Education to sanction our district. My district, Alachua County, mandated masking of our students and employees in order to mitigate against the Delta variant. In addition, we were looking at continuing social distancing of at least 3 feet, hand washing, and certainly encouraging vaccination of children 12 years and older, as well as all of our employees in the district. On yesterday, Dr. Ed Jimenez, and I know I'm vouching his name, but Jimenez, thank you, CEO, University of Florida Health Shands, reported 215 COVID-19 cases. 55 adults are in the ICU. He also reported a second record high of 16 children being hospitalized with the virus, and 4 of those children are in ICU. Every day, we have seen the explosive growth of new COVID cases and quarantine of our students. Local school districts and states must be transparent with data on how COVID is affecting our students and schools. Therefore, we here in Alachua County have implemented an amazing dashboard with daily information as to what's happening in our Alachua County schools. Finally, I want you to know that Alachua County school board members voted unanimously on August 3rd, before school started on the 10th of August, that we would mask mandate for 2 weeks and then reevaluate. At the next board meeting on August 17th, returning medical professionals and scientists reiterated the importance of why we needed to continue with masking, because the data was showing such a surge and many spikes of the virus, Delta virus. Again, the board stood strong in our belief and voted unanimously again to expand the mandate of masking as a major benefit to our students. In fact, we did it for 8 more weeks. We did it, though, despite the threat of defunding school districts and are removing the elected officials their seats. I'm so proud of my colleagues and Dr. Holly Simon, superintendent, for standing strong. We are definitely who we say that we are. We stand up for the students and employees and our community. Districts that have joined us: Miami-Dade, Palm Beach, Leon, Orange, Hillsborough, Sarasota, DuBose, Indian River. They have joined Broward and the mighty Alachua. 52% of student enrollment in Florida are now using masks. And as each of you here today, stand with us. Continue to spread the word. As Dr. Osgood said, get vaccinated. I know that little $100 that we are incentivizing people to do this vaccine, but whether you get paid or not,
Thank you.
think about it. Think about it. I hear it over here. Think about yourself. Do the right thing. You never know when the last thing you do is breathe. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning. First, I want to start by thanking Chestnut and Cynthia Moore and the Florida Democratic Black Women's Consortium board and members for taking such a strong leadership in such a time as now. I know we've talked about the mask mandate, and in this space, I have to take off my elected official hat because at the end of the day, I'm just a parent. I have a 7-year-old son who goes to school and doesn't have an option. And every night I wrestle with his health because I understand the importance of education. But for traditional public education, you would not have a Representative Bobby DuBose. But I'm here today, my friends, to thank the U.S. House of Representatives for passing the John Lewis Voters' Rights Act. And I'm requesting the Senate, and as we like to refer to them as the upper chamber, to put partisanship aside and pass this act as soon as possible. You see, my colleague to my right, Representative Henson, understands better than most what we went through in the Florida House when we dealt with these voter suppression bills. As we stood up, we fought for what we knew was right, and we were simply told the reason why they were doing it was simply because they could. Now, the passage of this bill requires many categories of changes in state and local election procedures to go through a process called pre-clearance. Essentially, approval from the Justice Department Civil Rights Division before being implemented. This bill will require changes to a whole lot of different kinds of laws and voting procedures to be subject to federal preclearance, including voter ID requirements, changes to precinct locations, or early voting access, changes to how voter rolls are purged, just to name a few. You see, preclearance was actually part of the law in the past, but was struck down by the Supreme Court in 2013, in large part because it applied to only certain states. And in some of those states, it was only certain counties, like here in Florida. Because those jurisdictions were part of the original 1965 Voting Rights Act, largely because of the history of discrimination in those areas. With this new act, preclearance will be a requirement for all 50 states. So now is the time for us to put it back in place. As some may have you to believe, the purpose of this act is not to maximize the power of the federal government when it comes to state and local election laws, but it has everything to do with the fight of voter suppression laws filed throughout the many states around this country, Florida being one of them. We have to stop this new era of Jim Crow 2.0. Because, as one of my colleagues in the Florida House stated, Jim Crow today wears a suit and carries a briefcase and calls himself James Crow. We have to understand the right to vote is fundamentally sacred, and every American citizen should have equal access to cast their vote and make their voice heard in a just democracy. And let me say this before I take my seat. And I want to be clear with kind of bringing this together. What we're dealing with here is a lot bigger than just the space and time that we're in. This is a national effort. This is something that has been going on for decades. The attack on traditional public school has been happening for decades, and it's been put in place through policies, through legislation in states and throughout this country. What's happened is that this moment is an opportunity for them to attack. And I'll give you a great example. Back a couple of sessions back, we had this Hope Scholarship Bill, and it was titled the Bully Bill. And now we have the governor bullying our school board members so that people can take these public dollars and take them to private schools where they're mandating for them to wear masks. Let's think about this. This is always a policy. This is much larger. And even when we deal with that, we talk about the importance of this Voters' Rights Act. We got to keep in mind who it affects. It affects communities of color. It affects people that we see today who are effectively making change, who are effectively protecting our children. This is a bigger issue, and we need to look at it in a comprehensive manner. So as we talk about these two subjects, I don't want you to look at one and then look at the other. I want you to look at the big picture and understand how this affects our community. And it's so much so that we are dying, and it's affecting our future. Our children are our future. Again, Dr. Chestnut, Nikki, and the rest of the members, thank you for the opportunity to speak. God bless.
Thank you. Now, if you're holding a brown piece of paper, you will gather behind me on the second and third, first and second steps. And you'll gather behind me, take the paper off. 1947. Since that time, 174 years later, only white men have primarily occupied the office. Only one woman and not any person of color has ever been appointed to this vital position. President Biden can make history by selecting the highly capable Winifred Acosta, a nearly 18-year assistant U.S. attorney for the Northern District, to be the next U.S. attorney for the Northern District of Florida, who just happens to be a black woman. It is with great pride and pleasure that the Florida Democratic Black Women's Consortium endorses Winifred Acosta. Winifred Acosta is someone who fits the bill in every way. She is a career prosecutor who has worked in the office for nearly 18 years. During that time, she has gained experience in every division in the office as a criminal prosecutor, a civil litigator, and an appellate attorney. She's young and energetic, and she's highly competent. She has earned awards in recognition of her excellence as a prosecutor from the United States Secret Service, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, the U.S. Forest Service, and the U.S. Postal Inspection Service. Acosta is a known leader of the bar, and she currently serves as the diversity chair and executive council member of the Florida Bar Association's Government Lawyer Section. As her career shows, Acosta is a consummate professional, not a politician. A native of Live Oak, Florida, Acosta has lived and worked in the Northern District of Florida for most of her life. She knows its people and she knows its problems. She set her sights on becoming a prosecutor at age 13 when her sister became a victim of a violent crime. She holds a bachelor's degree and a law degree from the University of Florida. After graduation from law school, Acosta began her legal career as an assistant state attorney in Lake City. 2 years later, she joined the statewide prosecution unit of the Florida Attorney General's Office, focusing on fraud, racketeering, and identity theft prosecutions. She left the Office of Statewide Prosecution to become an assistant facet focused on her family, career, and community, evidenced by her numerous accolades and achievements. Acosta is devoted to public service and has received numerous awards from groups as varied as the Tallahassee Women Lawyers, the Tallahassee Barristers, the Florida Association of Women Lawyers, the African American Development Council, the National Black Prosecutors Association, and Alpha Sorority Incorporated. She is the proud mother of 2 children. While appointing Winifred Acosta to U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Florida will be a historic step toward Florida reaching a level of racial and gender diversity that more accurately reflects our state's population. It makes sense and is the most logical career progression for someone with her track record. That would be a no-brainer if she were a white male. More importantly, Acosta is a well-rounded, respected attorney with great knowledge of the Office of the U.S. Attorney in the Northern District of Florida. Winifred Acosta is the right choice for Florida's Northern District. And President Biden's appointment as the next U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Florida should be easy. Thank you. I want to thank everyone for your participation today. And invite you to walk with us on this journey as Black women, assume our rightful position going to be a gift from the Florida Democratic